I'm Catherine Ross, and I'm here live from the NYC with Jim Cramer. Jim, we got a lot of headlines this weekend, but let's go unfiltered. What's on the top of your mind?
Well, on the top of my mind is Estee Lauder, because a lot of people were short the stock. And the reason why they're short the stock was that there's a belief that so much of the business is in China and in Hong Kong, that how could they possibly guide up? Sure, they could have a good quarter, but the idea would be that with the Hong Kong airport, such an important thing because that's where a lot of people go to buy cosmetics, there would be a slowdown, and with China be a slowdown. Instead, the opposite. Fabrizio Freda came out and said, listen, we are going to really accelerate our business in Asia. I don't know about, we have to check a little more about North America, but when you have EL be your flagship name for the day, that does say a lot, because that's high-end cosmetics and prestige brands. And prestige brands should, I don't think people realize that people are paying up for prestige brands. The things that people pay up for in this country are Uber, Apple iPhones, and makeup. And it's turning out to be not just this country. Fabrizio is a great international thinker, and this is a remarkable quarter on all accounts.
Speaking of China, President Trump tweeted out this weekend that China and the U.S. are in talks. But has anything changed this time around?
No, I mean, I think that what matters is that there's a belief that China has taken another step down in growth, and that therefore they even more have to deal. I think that everybody's in transition here. The president tweets, and people get excited. The president tweets, and people get unexcited. We have a market today that is strong, in part because there's a belief that there's big stimulus worldwide, particularly in Germany, but also in China. And stimulus worldwide is a way to be able to counteract tariffs. So when you have stimulus worldwide, you don't have to worry as much about tariffs. And you see a lot of the stocks that have tremendous international exposure doing well today.
Jim, you wrote a Real Money column this morning that focused on watch, but it also focused on two other smaller names, Shopify and Etsy. Why should investors be paying attention to those two names?
Well, I mean, I think that there's a big change in the way people shop. And while it's not totally evident yet, you have to understand that Etsy and Shopify are the anti-mall stocks. So when you look at the REITs, I mean, I look at the Pennsylvania real estate, when I look at Tanger, they're particularly poor. Now, they're very buoyant companies with CEOs that are very, very positively inclined, which is absolutely terrific. But you really get the sense that Etsy is, let me put it this way. When you read the JCPenney call, they're talking about the reintroduction of great national brands. That's exactly the opposite of what millennials want. Millennials want one of a kind, and Etsy's one of a kind. Millennials want to support nascent businesses, Shopify's nascent businesses. So these are reflections of the malls, I would say the sunsetting in the mall, and that's very important.
I want to switch gears. Well, first of all, Real Money's stock of the day is Home Depot, which is a part of Watch. So if you want to focus more on retail, head over to realmoney.com.
And just so we know, Home Depot's strength is not the consumer, but the contractor. And the way that they have built their all-online strategy is pro-contractor, so the contractor can get in and out really fast. So it has really taken that business, and it's become the place, much more than Lowe's. So if you have the whole nation's contractors going to Home Depot, you got a great damn business.
Now, Jim, earlier you mentioned Uber, but I want to talk about Lyft, because today Lyft's lockup date expires. Does that change it for Lyft?
Well, I think that one of the things that needs to happen is for Lyft to not have a lot of sellers. You look at the volume, Catherine, look at the volume. If the volume doesn't expand Lyft, that's a sign of faith. It's a sign that because the stock went down a lot, the insiders are reluctant to sell. If they're reluctant to sell, then you've got a whole new ballgame in terms of the hangover for a CrowdStrike, hangover for Pinterest. And it's very positive because you keep thinking that the insiders are just going to dump, and Lyft was the worst performer when it came public, and now it may be a good performer because it was a good quarter. Zimmer did a good job. I wonder if he talked to a lot of the big holders and said, listen, we got a lot of good things in the pipe. Don't give up on us.
All right, Jim, before we head over to our Action Alerts Plus Daily Rundown show, I do want to talk to you about football. Now, right. I know that you've been to Eagles training camps. Yes. Are you ready for fantasy football season?
Yes, I am. And from now on, because we are in fantasy, I just got my, from George Meneses, our commissioner, our marching orders for Wednesday night. We're doing early draft, and I'll be giving you tips all year. Now, I got a true sleeper on the Eagles. No one's focused on him. 3 years ago, I managed to be able to get something that I think very few people have had, which is to be able to announce a draft pick. And I drafted a guy who became number 10, Mac Hollins from North Carolina. Subsequently, he's had to change his number because Deshaun's back. But Mac Hollins was a fabulous receiver 2 years ago. And last year he was hurt and didn't play. He is, I think, now that, look, we've got Deshaun. So Deshaun is, you got a lot of wide receivers. You've got Deshaun. You got Nelson Aguilar. You don't need me to tell about him. He was a number 1 pick. Obviously, Alshon Jeffrey's going to be in the top. I'd see him maybe by the 4th round. And this guy, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who's from Stanford, who has not had a good camp. And then there's Mac Hollins. And if you remember back a couple years ago, Mac Hollins was the bright hope. Speed, height, poise. He's a good 12th rounder.
All right, guys.
And by the way, I think I am in my program that I'm developing, and we'll probably televise my draft on Wednesday for TheStreet. I am thinking it's called 12th round. Why? Because everyone wants 12th. Look, you don't need me to kick around the idea that Andrew Luck may or may not be playing. You need me for the 12th round. All week, I'm going to be revealing 12th rounders. And Mac Hollins is my 12th rounder for today.
Ooh, I'm excited to talk more about fantasy football with you.
Every day.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for all of your insight. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you're watching on TheStreet's Facebook or on TheStreet.com, we are now heading over to our Action Alerts Plus Daily Rundown show over on ActionAlertsPlus.com. I'm Catherine Ross, and we'll see you tomorrow.